Mailman comes around 3:30. So my wife says, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to go find the mailman. She says, Mike, you can't do that. I'm sure there's rules against that. So I said, listen, finding the mailman will be the easy part. They're federal employees. They move slow. They go the same direction every day. So sure enough, I found the Jeep parked. He was just sitting there. I knocked on the window and kind of startled him a little. I said, I think I woke him up. I said, we need to get in the back of that Jeep and see if there's see if there's a check for me. He says, we can't do that. There's rules against that. I'm thinking to myself, not you too. So we get to the back of the Jeep. I follow around, go to the back of the Jeep. He follows me. We get open. We're sorting around. Found a check. Off to the bank we go. Still in business. I think you get the point. Julie and I know about perseverance. And again, perseverance simply means you refuse to stop. Many people told us we should quit. We should give up. We should do something else. We should stop. One of the major advantages of starting off with nothing, of having to fight for C's, for your C average, is you develop perseverance. You learn. That's just how life is. Long ago, I came across a quote I really like. It said, if we had started off with more, we would have ended up with less. Newt Gingrich has the best quote I've ever heard on perseverance, and this is what Newt said. Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of the hard work you already did. That is perseverance. Somebody else said, the person who wins may have been counted out several times, but didn't hear the referee. You know, if I had listened to all the people who counted me out, said I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I probably never would have even started a business. Because when I got ready to start the business, everybody told me I shouldn't leave the water company, and I asked them why, and they said because of benefits. I'm trying to think what benefits, but I would have quit my business many times if I listened to those that told me to quit. I've pretty much modeled my life after one of the qualities of John D. Rockefeller. He said, I don't think there's any other quality so essential to success of any kind as the quality of perseverance. Some fool told me that Julie and I have the gift of perseverance. Perseverance isn't a gift. It's a character trait. And it's developed during difficult times. And I've known difficult times. Many difficult times. While I wouldn't choose to repeat any of them under any circumstances, I also wouldn't trade what I learned in those difficult circumstances for anything. Speaking of perseverance, in the midst of tremendous financial difficulty, I became injured. I was injured and not able to work for 3 months. I was repairing a sprinkler head over on Mast Avenue in Santee, and to save time, I was adjusting the sprinkler head without turning off the water. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was, to save time, I was reaching over the bush, which I couldn't see, and I was trying to adjust the sprinkler. Well, that wasn't good enough. I didn't get my head over there far enough. So now I've got my head in the bush, practically, and I'm adjusting the sprinkler head. That was mistake number 3, because the sprinkler landed in my eye. When I got to Zion, down to Kaiser Hospital at Zion, the doctor asked me what I'd been doing, and I explained it. He said, well, you have a detached retina. What that means is, when you have a detached retina, the way they fix it, at least back then, they take your eyeball out of your head, and they put a buckle on your eye, and pop it back in. Problem was, my eye was bleeding internally. So I had to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks, waiting for the blood to stop, the internal bleeding to stop. Now I'm in perfectly good health, but I can't read, I can't watch TV, and I can't do anything. I'm just supposed to lay there. And in fact, I never have been too good about following rules. They wrote on my chart, watch this guy, he doesn't follow the rules, because I kept getting out of bed. Well, anyway, this one particular day, and I'm laying there just bored out of my mind. I got a patch on my eye. You know, you got those stupid pajamas on that supposedly cover up something, but don't cover up nothing, you know. And nightgown. And so I'm laying there, I'm thinking, I gotta get out of here. So the nurse comes in, and I say, hey, who's in charge of the landscaping for this hospital? And she tells me who it is. She says, what you need to do is go downstairs and go on the loading dock and go between these double doors, go inside there, and you'll find a man named Tom. All right. So after the nurse left, snuck out of bed again, got my jeans on underneath those pajamas, had a patch on my eye, snuck down past the nursing station, over the elevator, down the elevator to the basement, out on the loading dock, pushed the double doors in, and I said, I'm looking for Tom Fennell, in my pajamas with a patch on my eye. I found him. I began to explain to him why he should hire me to take care of all of his hospitals someday soon. And he's you know, I'm sure very impressed with this guy in his pajamas. What I didn't tell him was I had absolutely no money, 5 or 6 employees, did not have the ability, the know-how, and have no idea what I would do if he did hire me. I didn't bother telling him that little tidbit. A couple years later, he hired me. That was 20 years ago. Crawled out of bed. Crawled out of bed and went down and found the guy in charge of the landscaping. I've been doing that for 20 years. When you are down, when things aren't going well, when you are discouraged and depressed, what you do at these times in your life will often determine and define what your life will be like. Imagine if I would have listened to all the people that told Julie and I we should quit. What if I would have quit before I got hit in the eye? I've always described that injury as the best, worst thing that ever happened to me, because I got the large contract for the Kaiser Hospitals 20 years ago. While we're on the topic of perseverance, let me tell you about my decade and a half in college. Keep in mind, I had myself convinced I wasn't smart enough to go to college. Like most things in life, I did it the hard way. I started a family, I started a business, then I went to college. I don't recommend it. In my decade and a half of pursuing my degree, I had to delay my education twice. Notice I said delay, not quit. But I had to stop taking classes twice. Once because business got so good, and once because business got so bad. So I just simply delayed it, but I came back. I wouldn't quit. I refused to quit. Winston Churchill's shortest and most quoted speech has been one of the principles that guides my life. Never, 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 never give up. As a side note, I really like Winston Churchill's wit. Lady Nancy Astor said to Winston, "Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your tea." Winston looks at her and says, "Nancy, if you were my husband, if you were my wife, I would drink it." George Bernard Shaw, a playwright, wrote to Winston Churchill. He said, I'm enclosing 2 tickets to the first night of my new play. Bring a friend, if you have one. Churchill replies, cannot possibly attend the first night. Will attend the second, if there is one. I love Winston Churchill. David Snardoff said, the will to persevere is often the difference between failure and success. I also like and agree with and have experienced many times in my life what Napoleon Hill said. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to quit. Before we leave this section on perseverance, I want to read something to you that appears in the paper every year on New Year's Day. It's called Just for Today, and I believe it's the key to perseverance. Just for today, I will live through this day only. I will not brood about yesterday or obsess about tomorrow. I will not set far-reaching goals or try to overcome all my problems at once. I know I can do something for 24 hours that would overwhelm me if I had to keep it up for my whole life. Just for today, I will be happy. I will not dwell on thoughts that depress me. If my mind fills with clouds, I will chase them away and fill them with sunshine. Just for today, I will accept what is. I will face reality. I will correct those things that I can correct and accept those things I cannot. Just for today. I will improve my mind. I will read something that requires effort, thought, and concentration. I will not become a mental loafer. Just for today, I will make a conscious effort to be agreeable. I will be kind and courteous to those that cross my path. And I will not speak ill of others. I'll improve my appearance, speak softly, and not interrupt. I'm working on that. When someone else is talking, just for today, I'll refrain from improving anybody but myself. Just for today, though. Just for today, I will do something positive to improve my health. If I'm a smoker, I'll quit. If I'm overweight, I'll eat healthy. If only just for today. Not only that, I'll get off the couch, take a brisk walk around the block, even if it's only for today. Just for today, I will gather courage to do what is right and take responsibility for my own actions. And like I said, that appears every year on New Year's Day. I read it every year. You see, the key to perseverance is that you only have to do it one day at a time. That's the key to perseverance. One day at a time. Again, the first important principle, it doesn't matter where you start out in life. That doesn't have to determine where you end up. The second principle, you have to be willing and able to persevere. And the third principle is you need to learn what you're good at. It's a well-known fact that 80% of people get a college degree and work in a field other than what they studied. 80%. Why does this happen? Well, I believe it happens in large part because we study or we learn things where we're not naturally gifted to perform in. I'll give you an example. I remember watching one person who really liked life to be orderly and predictable. She was studying to be an emergency room nurse. That ain't gonna work. Another one wanted to be an accountant. Now this person doesn't like details and loves people. Everybody knows accountants have to like details, and they usually lock you in a room and lock the door. There are no people. We have to learn what we are good at. I've observed many men who thought they were businessmen, and clearly they weren't. And the result was they end up 50, 60, 70 years old, completely broke. From my observation, the above examples happen for a couple of reasons. First is they study or they prepare themselves in the wrong field, and the second one is the habits that they practice. The fact is, everyone in this room is better at something than everyone in this room.